TV. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hey, what's good, everybody, and welcome to the Players Corner with Karim Grant. I'm your host, Karim Grant. Today we have a very, very special guest, a four-time MLS champion, an all-around great guy, Dawayne De Rosario, joining us via Zoom link. D-Ro, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. All's well. Can't complain. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you so much for your patience, and thank you so much for doing this. It's been a long time coming that I've been meaning to reach out to you and speak to you and talk to you about everything, your journey. We've got similar backgrounds but different paths, and we just want to talk about everything in between. So, how did you get started into this thing you call football? We know it as soccer as well.
Just, growing up, all my uncles played it. My parents came from Ghana, and my dad was a big lover of the sport and the growth of the sport and playing it. So I grew up playing it with my uncles, and then obviously going to practices. Kids in my community, that was a sport of choice. All the kids played it, so I just followed suit. My older brothers played, and I just followed behind. Everywhere we went was ball was knocking. So, and
Right.
then it grew into fun, into love, into passion, into business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, growing up in Canada, obviously, in Toronto, for me especially, we were always, inundated with other sports like hockey and football and basketball. But you decided to stick with soccer. Who were your major influences back then?
Well, my father being one for sure, the major influencer. Very supportive father. Was also my coach. Was my brother's coach for a bit, and so I would say he'd be my major influence. And I was just influenced by the game. I always loved, watching the game. And at that time, my dad was very into Brazilian football. So, obviously we didn't get too much of that back then. It was very English driven. But there was times where, Brazilian football come on, and my dad, we would sit down and watch, Santos, Flamengo, these teams play. And,
Right.
I really enjoyed how the Brazilians play with that flair. And it kind of, symbolized what we grew up in, a Caribbean West Indian community. That's how we love to play. We love to play with that flair and that, dance with the ball and,
Right.
and enjoy the game.
Absolutely. Well, you definitely have some dance moves that you showed after some of your historic goals, some epic goals. And I was watching some highlights last night, and you had an epic a bicycle kick. I'm like, man, people do that in actual games? And you actually did that. Like, were you thinking about that before you actually did that?
No, I mean, it comes with it, at the moment. I'm a player that I do visualization before I play and those two sorts of things. But in the moment, you just got to believe in yourself and do things that other people would second guess themselves. I do it, and I try it. Sometimes it pulls off, and sometimes it doesn't work according. But you learn and you tweak it a little bit, and then until you finally get it.
Right. You talked about visualization there, and I think that's a great key for a lot of athletes, coming up. It's seeing yourself being victorious, seeing yourself being successful. Now, did you see yourself leaving your family when you were at a young age and going across the pond to Europe? And how was that experience?
I didn't. I knew that was good. That was a journey because we didn't have any pro soccer back then, pro football. So, I knew that my peers ahead of me, the Paul Pesolitos, Alex Bumbrys, these type of players, they had to go overseas. So I knew that, it was a matter of time that myself had to make that decision. So in the back of my mind, it was lingering, and then the opportunity came to go to, well, at first, before I went to Germany and signed there, I had multiple opportunities across Europe in some of the big clubs, Barcelona, Marseille, AC Milan, that, some worked out and some didn't work out. And of course, it's for any 15, 16-year-old, it's tough to leave your family, tough to leave your community behind, and pursue something that you're not sure about. Especially back then, where there's no internet, there's no communication really. Metro housing kid, so I didn't really have much communication with my parents.
Right.
So it was difficult. It was a challenging, but it was a blessing because it made me grow up real quick. It made me, learn more about myself, learn more about believing and trusting in myself and my intuition, and staying focused and going after my dream.
Right, right. Now, you're from Scarborough, Ontario, which is a suburb of Toronto. People know Scarborough to be a very somewhat difficult of a place to live, but I thought it was a great place. I love being from Scarborough. I love living there. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the living in Scarborough helped you to get to where you're at right now?
Oh yes, for sure. Just the diversity. Learn about different cultures. Scarborough's a melting pot, so you learn a lot about different cultures, so it prepares you for when you travel. Just growing up in that, tough environment of Scarborough's a hardworking community. My parents were very hardworking, extremely hardworking. My family is hardworking. So that, watching them work hard and to try to make ends meet, I got a lot of that energy from their work and watching them work tirelessly and 1, 2, 3 jobs, to make ends meet. So that kind of mentality, it's one that I embrace while traveling and fighting for what you want, and being an athlete, that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's competition, and that's why I said the love, the passion, and the business. Understanding, that you have to do better than the other player.
Right.
You have to compete every day. You have to, fight every day. And growing up in Scarborough, that's what it was, especially in Metro housing community. That's what it was, and 2 older brothers,
right.
as well. So if you don't have much, you got to fight for what you want, or else you're gonna miss out.
Right. That was par for the course in Scarborough. The competitive spirit was always there. Whether you're at Jack Goodlad playing basketball, whether you're at Flemington Park playing soccer, the competitive nature was always there. Now, Scarborough has just recently got a basketball team, a pro basketball team. Do you see a future for pro soccer in Scarborough?
Definitely. I think the time is long overdue. I think when you look at the CPL now, CPL League, it's something that I would like to potentially one day bring to Scarborough. I think it's very much like Brooklyn. It's a proud community. People are very no matter where people travel to around the world, they always have a sentiment to Scarborough. So I think if there's a basketball, you're now telling me that there's a pro basketball team. I think that's a huge step in the right direction.
Right, absolutely.
I think there's a lot of great athletes in and around these communities that need opportunities. That there's a lot of new facilities being built, but not a lot of opportunities. So hopefully these pro environments could help lessen that gap and create more D-Rose, Jamal McGlures, and other rising stars. Absolutely, man. It's incredible to see the growth and progression of this community. There's a lot of negative talk about Scarborough, but there's also some positive things that come out of it. Now, I know that you're involved in a lot of different community endeavors right now, and I read somewhere that you might be building a facility in Durham. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. Amazing. A soccer, well, not soccer specific, but it's basketball, soccer, multi-sport facility in Durham to facilitate my academy that I launched in 2012 and create more opportunities for youth to have a safe place to play, have an environment to grow, and we're very excited, and I can't wait for that the brick in the mortar to get laid.
That's incredible, and I'm looking forward to seeing that because we need it so desperately out here, and to have somebody from the Caribbean community to go out there and be a part of that, and lend his name to that, it speaks so much to everything that you've done and everything that you mean to this community. Just rewinding a little bit back, because I love to find out about athletes. I call it the come to Jesus moment, where you find out like, okay, you know what? I finally made it. This is it. This is the penultimate feeling that I'm supposed to get. What was that feeling for you when you realized that you had finally made it as a professional soccer player?
Man, when I signed my first contract in Germany, for sure, that was my first time. I felt like I made it, and I felt good when that check comes in, and you're excited. You take care of your, not only myself, but your family. You're helping out, and you're supporting your family and trying to create a better situation for your families, one that they've never dreamed of. And traveling and making them see the world. For me, that was always that's something I enjoyed and I embraced.
Sometimes when we sign those contracts, all of a sudden our family begins to expand. Did your family expand as well, or did
100%, 100%. Everybody knew me in Scarborough.
Right. All of a sudden, I'm your cousin. Do you remember when we used to play back here and there? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I became everything. I became the banker. I became the ticket person. I became, the connect.
Right. You were the plug, as the young kids would say right now.
Well, as they say, heavy is the crown,
That's right. But you got broad shoulders, brother, so I'm sure you were able to carry it carefully. Now, fast forward a little bit, you ended up in the MLS. How was your stay in MLS? I mean, you ended up with 4 cups. And I'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, MLS at the time when I came back from Germany, I was kind of in a difficult space in my life, because I wasn't sure what direction to go, and a team from Richmond Kickers asked me if I wanted to come out there and play with the team. It wasn't I went there just to see what it was like.
Right.
At that time, MLS just started in '96, so I'm talking about '98, '99, and I always wanted to be a part of MLS and the growth of MLS. Because I've seen the potential we could possibly have in potentially coming to Canada. So in 2001, when the opportunity presented itself for me to sign in MLS, obviously I took it. And for me, it was just another opportunity for me to get back to Europe and to prove myself. But opportunities did come up, and many different situations prevented me from going back to Europe. Buyout fees and other things like that. And then I just say, you know what, might as well just stay here and make a name for myself and continue on and create a legacy here in MLS. So that's what I did. And 2007, I saw Toronto FC get an MLS team, and I knew that that was the best thing for Canada soccer to achieve.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big surprise for me with the support that they received as soon as they announced Toronto FC.
Right. And I don't mean to cut you off, Dero. We just got a break for commercial. I really want to get more into you being the pioneer for MLS and the pioneer for Major League Soccer in Canada, because I don't think it would be there without you. So when we come back, we'll be talking more with Dawayne De Rosario here on the Players Corner with Karim Grant. Thanks for joining us, and see you in a bit.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
This is when the fun starts.
All right, let's get started. you would need to let me take over.
Whoa, Nelly. You're not done.
Hey! Welcome to season 2 of Canada's Drag Race!
I can see things that your people can't.
This is Rogers TV.
Hey, what's good, everybody, and welcome back to the Players Corner with Karim Grant. I'm your host, Karim. We still have in studio with us, or via Zoom link, Dawayne De Rosario, four-time MLS champion and Canadian legend. Now, Dero, I think that if we were to change the MLS logo to have your hologram or your imprint on there, I think it should be you. What do you think? 104 goals. That's crazy.
I wouldn't say no, but
I think that would be tremendous, man. You know, I was looking at some of your highlights, and I remember watching you, back in the day, and you had this incredible dance when you score. It was very similar to a guy that I watched in the NFL, in the National Football League, a guy named Merton Hanks. He would get an interception or a touchdown, and he would do this dance. Where did your dance derive from?
Well, the dance would pretty much signifies players that I grew up with in and around Scarborough that couldn't make it or that didn't make it through various situations, and it was just paying tribute to those players.
Right.
It started from an article that the team I played with growing up, Malvern Magic, we're playing in a tournament here in Toronto.
Shout out Malvern. Sorry.
Yes, called the Robbie.
Yeah.
Robbie tournament.
Big tournament.
And in the semifinals, we really played well. My dad had us really clicking on all cylinders, and the article at that time said, Malvern put a shake and bake on the team, and that really stuck with me. And I wanted to, obviously I love scoring goals, and I wanted to create a goal celebration that not only is exciting. So I tried to, I used to break dance back in the days. So big up Supernaturals, but, pop in, lock in, and I've tried to create that into the goal celebration. And there you had the shake and bake. So when a reporter asked me, what the goal celebration is, I just finished reading that article, going through some old articles that my cousin put together. She put together this amazing booklet of kind of like all my articles of me growing up and my travels, and presented me as a gift. And I finally went through it, and I was looking at it, and that really stuck out to me. So it just stuck from there.
Right. That's, what the great thing about that is the most un-Canadian thing you can do is celebrate like that. Usually,
Yeah.
This is why I love it, because a lot of times we're told to be very docile, be very friendly, be very kind, and don't be out there, don't be too outlandish. But what I love about your flair and your style is that you were out there and you were outlandish. You had the cornrows, you had the long hair flowing. It was great.
Yeah, again, growing up in Scarborough, so, you grow up with personality. You grow up with that, as you said, we there's competition all over the place. You play basketball, it's a battle. You run track, it's a battle. Any sport you played is super competitive. So, we always, come to play and with a chip on our shoulder.
Right.
And it never left me.
Absolutely, man. Fun fact, my first sport was actually soccer. I was a goaltender. I played for a team in the Flemington Park called Cultures United. And we play against some of the best in the city, and we'd always come together on those fields. A lot of stuff was going on in the parking lot, but you know what? We kept ourselves focused and motivated.
Oh, yeah.
And did you find
I've
that?
Experienced quite a few of those experiences.
Absolutely. Good times, though. Good times.
Always.
A stark difference to what's happening right now in Flemington Park with soccer. But, what is the state of Canadian soccer right now? I say this to say because my background is Trinidadian, and I got to deal with all the CONCACAF jeering every year. Where are we right now? Are we at a place where we're going to compete at a high level in the next couple of years?
There's no reason why we shouldn't. to be honest. There's still a lot of work to be done. There's no denying that. But at the same time, if you look at what we have ahead of us, in terms of, we have 3 MLS pro teams here in Canada: Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto. We just launched the CPL, the Canadian Professional League. So there's a lot of things that are in place where we should only get better from here on. Not to mention, our players, using those platforms to create some amazing, contributions to the sport on the European and international level. Alphonso Davies, Jonathan Davies, Thibaut Hutchinson, and what they're contributing to on a global scale is fantastic. It's unfortunate that, where in probably other countries they would continuously show when these guys are playing, that we don't do that and really push these guys to the forefront and highlight them. But I still think the foundation is set for us to only improve and to get better. So hopefully, with this kind of success, the powers that be that control sports in Canada could recognize that and say, you know what, instead of keep fighting with this sport, not to say that hockey can't still be the Canadian sport, but, soccer is the most attended sport at the grassroots level since I started playing, since the 90s. So there's a lot to be said about that. And a lot of players that have went on to become successful hockey players all started from playing some level of soccer, and in fact still use soccer as part of their warm-up. So I think soccer is a very unique sport because it makes you and forces you to use all different parts of your body. Balance, speed, coordination, awareness, and that helps you to, in any sport that you play, reflex, all these attributes of an athlete, speed that you need to be successful in any sport that you play.
100%. I can see how that's translated when, guys like Steve Nash, who can still do about 100 keep-ups with a basketball. That shows to me that he used to play the sport as a youngster, and it translates well to him playing on the court.
Let's not forget his brother also represented our national team.
That's right.
And then back to what you're saying, most of these guys definitely have played some level of soccer and still do.
Absolutely. It's incredible to see when we were coming up, being a multi-sport athlete was a thing. It's no longer a thing. There's a lot of specialization now. And with that specialization, I feel like there comes a lot of cost. Do you feel like the cost of playing soccer has become a barrier for some kids that are in the inner cities?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that that's now the case. It's unfortunate that, like I spoke about earlier, there's lots of facilities in Scarborough, but the access to the inner city kids and the metro housing kids, they can't access these facilities because the cost to be a part of these facilities are too large for some of these single parent families.
Right.
So we got to do a better job of finding a balance that kids like myself, single parent families could afford. It's a challenge because, the cost of using these facilities are high. So the lashback to that is, to attend these programs, you have to raise the fees. So you can pay for the field usage, you can pay for your coaches, you can pay, everything's going up, right? Cost of uniforms, the cost of balls, the cost of, to pay your staff and coaches, all these things come with a price, and we got to find a better way to balance that and make it as a word that, we love to throw around here, inclusion,
right,
but it's not really inclusion when you start to raise the costs. I tried my best within my academy. It's one of the cheapest out there, and I'm proud to say that. But we do enough to really just get by,
right.
Whereas other programs that have been around here since 80s and 90s are charging astronomical prices. They have all the facilities, they have the attendance, and they're still charging a hefty fee. So
still charging crazy fees. And so sometimes that, like for the average kid in the hood, right? It's a lot more expensive than picking up a basketball and just needing a hoop. It's I fully understand, and I appreciate the fact that your DeRo Academy has been able to kind of offset some of those costs. Just fast forwarding, changing lanes a little bit, and I just want to talk to you about your book, My Life. Some people, write books at the end of their lives. You chose to write this book now. Why was it important for you to get this information out there now?
Well, I think it's important for me to tell my story because there's a lot of kids are growing up with very similar experiences that maybe could read this book and utilize that to uplift them, to challenge them to make a better decision, or to see the possibilities of what could be, right? And for me, I thought it was important now. That I have my foundation and work very closely with kids in the inner city communities through my after-school programs, through my DeRo Foundation. I felt it was very important for me to tell my story and to share my story with them through my book. And not only to tell my story, but tell my family story, my journey. Right. As a West Indian, and what it was like to come, what it must have been like to come to Canada, and to try to find a way and try to make it, just like so many other immigrants that are now entering to the country, and think that it's all all that glitter is gold, but you realize that it's not what it's made out to be. It's actually it's hard to make it for a lot of families here. Right. But with the determination and with school wasn't my thing, sport was. Right. And thankfully, it was through sport that I was able to make something out of myself. And I was determined to do it either way, whether that's through the street way or the sport way. Yeah. And thankfully, I think I made the right decision by utilizing sports. I think you did too. Now DeRo, because we're about to close out the segment here, but if you had 30 seconds to talk to your younger self, the younger version of yourself, what would you say to him right now? Well, I would say to him that you're going to realize that, you're going to have hardship, you're going to have low moments, you're going to have challenging moments, but it's those moments that are going to shape you, make you who you are, and it's those moments that are going to build character. So embrace those moments and work hard, believe in yourself. And when things aren't going your way, just look back at those moments and tell yourself that you did it then, you can still do it now, and you can always redefine yourself. That's incredible. As long as you live, you can define yourself. That sounds like, those are bars. I feel like I want to write those down, put those in a song. I want to thank you so much for your time today, DeRo. I appreciate you taking the time. I know it was hard connecting our schedules, but I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on the Players Corner. Join us again next time as we interview some of your most favorite and celebrated Canadian celebrities and actors and athletes and what have you. Talk to you soon.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Think it's okay to drive high? Think again. Drug-impaired driving is as illegal